Miles, I'm glad I'm starting with you. It's nice to see
Hi,
you. We've
how are you?
we've met in person years ago when you came to Seattle, and I've sat
Uh,
across from you for other interviews. And I have to say, never once in looking at your face and talking to you in person did I think, God, he looks so much like Anthony Edwards. And yet now I cannot unsee it. It is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I think that was kind of a revelation for Tom and the director as well. Tom and I did a kind of camera test, and I had my flight suit on, and I had my hair done, and my mustache and everything, and Tom was like, "Oh my God, it is crazy how much you look like Anthony and Meg's like child."
Did you shot in Washington for this film? Did you get to come back here for those scenes?
I did, yeah. We shot in Whidbey Island. That's where,
Okay.
yeah, we shot some stuff there.
It was, the rumor mill was swirling, but you guys were able to keep it pretty quiet that you were there.
Oh, good.
Did you get to come down to Seattle this time?
Not really this time, but I filmed for this movie 21 and Over. We were in Seattle and we shot on the University of or Washington at that campus. So yeah, I mean I love Seattle. 13 Coins was our spot to go to for after hours.
Very good. I love it. When you realized the sort of insane training that was going to go into this role, did you ever have a moment where you were like, "Oh, I don't know now," or were you in fully the whole time?
Uh, I mean, I definitely think I underestimated the training for this. I knew that we were going to be flying, and I knew that physically I had to get in really good shape, and I knew that I had to. There's a moment in the film where I play and sing on the piano, and that was something I said I want to do myself. I don't need a double or anything, but absolutely, I think I sorely underestimated how much training it takes to be able to act and stay present in film while you're in a jet, pulling 7.5 Gs with the best pilots in the world.
Yeah, this was taking one man band to the nth level. I
Uh-huh.
have to ask, did you puke? Did you pass out?
I'm glad you're asking this because if you don't get three yeses from these other guys, then somebody's lying. I did
Ooh,
not. I never puked. I never passed out. I came close. I mean, multiple times.
good for you. Okay, last question because I know we're running tight, but did you get to keep your helmet? Did you take anything with you from sets?
Let's just say if I were to cosplay as my character or I wanted to dress up like a character that I've been in a movie, then I would have, yeah, I have it. I have all that stuff.
John, I wanted to start with you. Can you describe what it is like to yell at Tom Cruise?
Fun. It's fun. It's certainly something that I didn't think I'd be doing in my life. But yeah, it's very exciting to play the antagonist to somebody like Tom. Tom is, and this word gets used and overused and ridiculously used in our current landscape, but Tom is actually iconic. He is an icon at this point. And it's almost like an out of body experience to be in a scene with him, and you have to kind of remind yourself to remain present because at a couple of times during the scene or something, I have these sort of out of body memories of being like, this is happening, right? Like I'm not dreaming this. This is actually happening. So it's very exciting, and but the wonderful thing, one of many wonderful things about Tom is that he's so present as an actor and as a human being that he all of that stuff kind of fades away as soon as you start working. He turns it on in the press and on the red carpet and all the other things that he has to do. But once you're actually working, you're working with another actor, and it was thrilling to be opposite Maverick, and that's who it is.
For all three of you, being in a film like this, which you've used the word iconic, but certainly the first Top Gun is iconic. Every time we hear danger zone, does your brain not go right there? I'm
Mm.
curious, what do you hope people are saying about this iteration of this film 30 years from now?
Oh wow.
Wow.
I have every confidence that 30 years from now, this film will be certainly as lauded and praised as the original because of the passion that Tom Jerry and the filmmakers and all the actors brought to the project. I mean, everybody sort of brought their A game. I mean, my personal experience felt like I was in the middle of an NBA game, and I'm looking over here and I'm seeing Kareem pass to Worthy, pass to Craig Hodges, is a name nobody thought I would say today.
Right.
And it was just a wonderful experience. So I think this movie is going to stand the test of time and surpass every expectation.
I would like people to say in 30 years similar things that I say about the original film, which is it feels so natural that you don't even think of when it was made. It feels like it's always been here, and it's just a part of like our cultural wallpaper, you know. And so I hope this film lives the same life and just becomes a part of people's daily awareness.
I feel like they're gonna say like it's weird that President Hamm was in that movie. But we'll see.
Really quickly, most surreal moment in terms of being part of this project? Was it when you heard that you got it? Was it your first day on set? Was it that first meeting with Tom Cruise where you're like, holy hell, this is Tom Cruise?
I think all of those were pretty surreal. But for me, really being in the active kind of military environment, being on a working aircraft carrier, which is essentially a floating city, and seeing aircraft coming and going, and helicopters and F-18s, and it's a humbling experience for sure. You realize that you're a very small part of a very big engine, and it's very cool to kind of get that perspective.
For me, it was my first day. I had to do a speech, and I was standing in front of a 4-foot-high American flag and seeing Jerry Bruckheimer in the distance, seeing Joe Kosinski, and then a little while later, not expecting Tom, and him showing up and getting dressed and then coming in at the end of the scene, and that being my meeting with him, because I hadn't gone to the pre-film meeting, was quite surreal. I acted with him before I actually properly met him. It was unbelievable.
Your character is sort of like a nod to the really true Top Gun fans, because Penny's kind of a deep cut.
That's a very deep cut. Yes.
Yeah.
She's mentioned in passing, Penny Benjamin in the original. So here she is, all these years later, still in his life.
And not a pilot, and yet you did get to fly with Tom.
I sure did. That was a surprise to me that was going to happen, because it wasn't in the original script that I read, and it happened. There was a scene where we were on the tarmac at the end of the movie, and we were shooting that, and Tom started asking me, so Jen, have you ever been up in a P-51 before? I was like, no. And he's like, ever done any like aerobatic flying before? And I was like, no. Why? Am I going to? And he's like, yeah, it's gonna be very graceful, it's gonna be very elegant. So that's how I heard that they had added a flying scene, and it was amazing. It was actually an incredible experience filming that with him.
Was that your most surreal day on set? What would you say was, or what was just the most surreal moment? Was it
every
getting
day
the part?
was surreal on this movie, because it's Top Gun, and you're kind of aware that it's a movie that means so much to so many people and was so iconic. But yes, I had several. I had, riding on the back of his motorcycle. I had sailing a boat, which we wanted it to be super fast and super, like the water splashing and the wind whipping and the waves rising. And so we went up to San Francisco and filmed there, where it's famously windy, and that was pretty exhilarating. The flying sequences, of course, but yeah, every day being on set with Tom Cruise is pretty exhilarating. I'll give you that.
You were part of a scene too that I felt like righted the one wrong from the original Top Gun, which is beach volleyball in jeans.
Okay.
And this time that didn't happen again. It's a little more realistic this time.
Yeah, but aren't we so glad that there is a new version of that scene? Because it wouldn't have been right if they hadn't gone there. And they go there, and it works.
It totally works. I have to ask you, I know we're running short on time, but I have truly loved watching you for basically your entire career, all the way back to 7 Minutes in Heaven.
Wow. Speak of deep cuts, thank you.
Deep cuts, right? What is there a film that you've done that you think would be super fun to sort of continue all of these years later and pick up all of these years later to explore where those characters are?
Oh gosh, I haven't really thought about that. There was word about a sequel of Labyrinth at one point, but I feel like as it was with this, there had to be the right time, there had to be the right story, the reason for it to be told, for that story to be told. I think that's why people are coming out and feeling so excited after seeing this movie, because it's an homage to the original, but in its own right, it's just a great story. And now they're able to do so much more with the flying sequences, and they're so visceral and they're so exciting. So, anything that got revisited, I feel like it just has to be the right time and the right story.
So, Glenn, I know you have said what the original Top Gun meant to you. I'm curious, how much of it can you recite? How many times have you actually seen it?
Are you going to quiz me?
Maybe.
I mean, I honestly think I could probably do a pretty large portion of it. If you put me on the coals, I can.
Let's test them. I feel the
need for speed. You have to fall through and then go down.
There we go. It was awkward.
Yeah, it's not meant to be done in
chairs, but you get the
yeah.
Right.
There's nothing more awkward than missing a high five, and I say this because I've done it many times in life. So.
Well, you witnessed it here. The awkward high five that never was. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we start over?
Can we? Yes. Roll it back. Hi, gentlemen. Kim Holcomb, King TV Seattle. Welcome to.
Hello. Thanks for inviting us in. You have a lovely home.
Okay, I am asking everyone: did you puke or pass out? And Miles said, if 3 people don't say yes, they are lying.
We all know Miles has his sights set on absolute carnage here. Now it's good to know Miles is definitely in that category. Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I think the only one that didn't puke was Monica.
No, you were looking at another person who did not puke.
You didn't puke?
I did not puke. Wow, for him to only name Monica?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. Look. I'm not saying I don't believe it.
My feelings are hurt.
Can I just tell you, there was a thing after we would fly where you would, with pride, hold up an empty puke bag. And I will just say, sometimes I was a liar because I would bring 2 puke bags. I would puke in one and hold up an empty.
And what I would do, I wouldn't bring a puke bag up there to show that I didn't puke.
Yeah. No. That's a real mental game.
That's a real mental. You catch it? Can I catch it?
Yeah.
It sounds like the real woman is the one who didn't
I gotta
have any
say,
problems.
Monica Barbaro is one of the most impressive people on this entire film, and one of the most impressive actresses I've ever met. She is not only delivered on what I think is the toughest assignment, which is to represent female aviators, which is there are many talented female aviators, and she is the lone pilot who represents that group, but also to come in guns blazing while we're covered in our own breakfast. She's just killing it.
And you spent like 3 minutes with us so far, and you see how we are. So for her to deal with us on a consistent basis,
that's another thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Monica's amazing. Yeah, Monica's amazing. Like I say this all the time when I'm speaking to people about like her handling her own and her setting the bar of like, oh god dang, we got to catch up to Monica. She, pulling more G. She pulled when we did the extra 300.
That was my main competition every time So Tom Cruise put together an entire flight program. Starting with the Cessna, the extra 300, the L-39, the F-18. When we were in the extra 300, which is this aerobatic plane that can pull more Gs, where upwards of like 10 Gs, we could pull in that. And Monica and I would just go back and forth and send each other the G meter in the thing, see who could. She was just
killing it.
She was killing. Yeah, I was very close to passing out many days of the week because of trying to keep up with Monica.
Welcome back to Washington State, I guess. Virtually to my home where my dog is running around. Did all 3 of you guys get to shoot here?
Yeah.
In Whitby, yeah.
Yeah, Whitby Island.
How was your experience?
Beautiful.
Absolutely amazing.
The pilots themselves were saying they were getting kind of emotional on the flight because the mountains there are so stunning.
Yeah, I think Tom and I took the first flight up in Whitby, and I remember you get out over the mountains, you leave Whitby, and it was obviously, you're over the sound and you're seeing all the water and which was absolutely breathtaking. And then you fly like 15 minutes and all of a sudden you're like over the mountain range and it's just covered in snow and like frozen lakes. And it was just such a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's the way to do it too, because driving takes a little bit longer, a little trickier.
No, we haven't driven since. We only ride in F-18.
Fly, right?
Yeah, we only ride in F-18.
That's the way to do it. Okay, I'm asking everyone, did you puke and or pass out? And Miles says, if 3 people don't say yes, they're lying.
Was he one of the people who said yes? Yes,
that's the question.
That's
the question right there. It's such an interesting thing, this question, because when you're up in the plane,
tell us, Lewis.
Nobody really knows what goes on. So you can land and get off and act like a pro, but nobody will really ever know what happened.
You're looking at me as if I might have had an issue.
No,
I did not.
He and I did not, but it was this weird thing where like when you didn't, I felt you were like comfortable. You're like, I'm never going to.
Yeah, I was never.
You didn't even bring a bag.
I said the same thing.
I still brought a bag.
Worked out differently for me.
I still brought a bag every flight. I was like, this will be, if I don't bring a bag, this will be the day that I have to.
I brought a bag, but I used it for something different.
He peed every flight.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one who didn't excrete.
I just used my bag for
I sweat a lot
different.
And maybe cried a little, but.
That is, Lewis, though, the best admission I've ever heard. Non-admission admission. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
It really is. I know we can't get too into the weeds here, but it is so extraordinary to me what you guys had to do in order to make this work in terms of essentially being one-man bands once you went up, right? Having to know where the lighting is, make sure the cameras are rolling, deliver your lines while potentially pulling G's. How did you process all of this before you went up? Like, how did you get your minds in the right place to be able to accomplish all of this?
I don't think we did process it, to be very honest. I will tell you this, the benefit that we had is Tom went up pretty much every location that we flew in. Tom was the first person to go fly. He would come back, land, they would download his cards from the camera, and we would watch his footage. And he would talk us through what he did in a specific place, what his altitude was, what the maneuver that he was going to do was, and I think that was it. And then he would talk to us about, our face mask and how to keep notes and how you communicate with your pilot and things like that. And that was this real on hand, like it was happening in the moment, and then the next thing you know, you were on your way to a jet to go fly.
Yeah, we had really extensive briefs and debriefs. Yeah. So we'd maybe fly for an hour, but we'd have 2-3 hours of essentially meetings about it, talking about the logistics, from everything from where we are on the map to where we need to be with our lighting, exactly what lines we need to say, exactly how we need to fly when we say those lines. We'd even write down the options that we'd want to play just in case, to give some variety to each take. Because you'd go up there and you would forget. We had a little note card. We did have cheat sheets. That was nice.
But all of it really goes out of your head because you're sitting across from Tom Cruise, who's one of the greatest actors of all time, and then you're about to get in an F-18 and go 700 miles an hour. So all of it literally just goes like this, and you just gotta do it. But it did become very second nature at a certain point too, because we did get enough. We got so much training doing it.
Yeah. Well, it totally worked. Congratulations. I know everyone is already telling you this, but please allow me to be the first to tell you the movie is just bonkers great. It's going to be a smash. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. You guys take care.
Have a good one.